Hello and welcome back to this edition of Value Time. Again, your host, Keith Weissach, joined by Ross Brennan. Ross, thanks for sticking around. I know Corey had a lot to do, and so we're glad for his participation, but always glad to have you.
Oh, always. I enjoy being here.
I appreciate that very much. One of those things that I think everybody looks forward to is when they get their license, but there's probably a lot of things that kids and parents aren't really aware of.
So the students, they learn, what they need to inside the driver's ed.
Right.
But parents also have to be mindful that there's certain restrictions that their child has depending on what their age and what level of their licensing is. Louisiana, we have what's called the graduated driver's license law.
Okay.
And basically between 15 and 17 years old, there's certain restrictions that they have behind the wheel to help keep not only them safe, but other motorists on the road safe as well.
And because they're a new driver.
Exactly. They say your first year of driving, you're 3 times more likely to get involved in a crash just because you're inexperienced. Same thing with learning a sport or learning an instrument. It takes time, it takes practice to get good at that. Same thing with driving.
Okay, very good. So, Jen, I think we have some information that Trooper's going to share with other people.
So, first-time applicant, right? A young driver trying to get their license. Whenever they're going through driver's ed, they're going to receive what's called a temporary instructional permit, typically referred to as a tip card. That's what they're going to use inside driver's ed. And basically, they're going to have to get a certificate of completion of that 30-hour driver's ed course and also 8 hours of behind-the-wheel instruction with that driver's ed program.
Okay.
So that's at the very beginning. Now, from there, they're going to get their learner's permit, right? And that's typically around 15 years old.
Right.
With their learner's permit, there's going to be certain restrictions. They must be with a licensed parent, guardian, or adult who's at least 21, or a licensed sibling who is 18. Right?
Listen, and maybe it's important to share that again, because I don't know that people always realize that. You've got to be with a licensed parent or guardian or an adult, and they have to be 21. Or if you have an older brother or sister or sibling, they can be 18.
Exactly.
But not 15 or 16 or 17.
No,
they must be 18.
Must be 18 at a minimum.
Right.
No cell phone use all. And keep in mind, that includes hands-free. So Bluetooth, CarPlay, Android Auto. Talking through the car speaker, that is prohibited. You cannot even use the car's speakers or hands-free device to use that cell phone. And you must also complete 50 hours of supervised driving in the company of the parent or guardian. Again, it's about experience, right? So 35 hours during the daytime and 15 at nighttime. We don't want this young driver who's never experienced driving at night or driving in traffic or driving in fog or driving in the rain.
Or driving on MLK.
Exactly, right? You don't want them to be by themselves for the first time and never have experienced that type of situation. So that's why it's required that's 50 hours of supervised driving.
And 50 hours is quite a bit.
Yeah.
It really is. 35 during the day and 15 at night. Make sure that your child is prepared by following the guidelines.
Exactly. Now, once they get a little bit older, at 16 years old, right, that's whenever they get their intermediate driver's license. They get a little bit more freedom, but they still have some restrictions, right? So they're restricted driving between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m., again, unless they're with that adult or guardian who's 21 or a sibling who's 18, and both have to be licensed.
Right.
Now, this is important. They cannot transport more than one passenger under 21 who is not an immediate family member. Right?
Right.
What we see a lot of times, and we have a graph coming up next, is that the more young drivers or young people you have inside the vehicle, the more chances of a serious injury or even a fatal crash occurring. If we go back to that graphic there. So again, no cell phone use, right? Again, no hands-free. And this is important also. As a 16-year-old driver, you shall ensure all passengers are properly buckled inside of your vehicle. You can actually take it and get a citation as a 16-year-old driver if your passengers are not properly restrained. So not only your passenger, but also you can face some consequences because of that.
And it's important. If you're driving, you're responsible for the vehicle and the people that are in there with you, and you're responsible to know the guidelines.
Exactly. And so I have a little infographic right here. So talking about young people inside of a vehicle. Whenever you have a young driver, somebody who is a teen driver, and they have at least three other people inside the vehicle who are also young people under the age of 21, their chance of getting involved in a fatal crash quadruples. Wow. If they have 2 young people inside the vehicle, it nearly doubles. And even just one inside the vehicle, it increases by 44%, almost 50% chance of getting in a fatal crash. Again, that's a young teen driver with somebody else who is young. But if that young teen driver has somebody who is an adult inside the vehicle, their chance of getting in a fatal crash actually decreases. Because what happens when a young driver has an adult inside the vehicle? They're on their P's and Q's.
Yep.
They're minding all the traffic laws. They're going the speed limit, right? Because they want their parent or guardian to think that they're the best driver in the world, so that way they get that freedom and can drive by themselves, right?
Right.
So it's so important that not have too many young people inside the vehicle than what's allowed by law. Remember, it's that one person who's not a sibling.
And typically we talk about the maturity level and the importance of maturity, and having someone under age 21, be it 1, 2, or 3, you can see on the graphic there how that increases the risk of a fatality.
Exactly. Not just injury crash,
it's
we're
not
talking
just
about
injury,
fatal
this
crash.
is fatal crashes.
Yep.
And again, we talk about distraction all the time. Yeah, young people typically very carefree, they're excited, they're out on the road, they're with their friends. There's a lot of issues that can come up with that. So some great graphics. Thanks for the education information. And then having that adult, 35 years or older, increases your stability and safety by 60.
And then finally, whenever they reach 17, right, that's whenever they get their normal Class E license. But again, they still have some restrictions. So in order to get that Class E license, they can have no at-fault crashes for at least a year, no moving violations, so no speeding tickets, no running stoplights, stop signs, and also no seatbelt, curfew, or drug or alcohol law violations for at least 1 year. And again, a driver under 17, even though, let's say they have all the other stuff good, they still cannot use any type of cell phone, whether it's hands-free or whatever, right? Now, once you reach 18, then you can use a hands-free, but it's still a good idea to avoid that because it could be a distraction.
Wow, and again, avoiding those distractions, great recommendations, Drew. Thanks for getting all that information, and we appreciate it. And as always, thanks for being here and keeping our community safe.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Al.
All right, and that will do it for this particular segment. Don't go anywhere. I like my local programming right here on HTV.